Hi, I'm Kiwi,
And I'm Jarad.
and we are the two gentlemen coming to you back from the dead. Jarad, how are you?
Yeah, it's been a while, mate. It has been a while. It's been tough. Been tough to nail each other down. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's been too long though. What about yourself?
Yeah, look, I've been excellent. And if the audience is wondering where we've been, we don't actually know. We're just trying to figure it out ourselves.
I think it was that vortex, that vortex of black hole of life. You know, like we talk about how trying to make time for things and do things, but sometimes you just have to put your head down. And for me, every day I'm doing something and keeping the kids occupied, and who knows? Like I said, like you said, you can't even explain it. And it just takes time, and before you know it, it's been weeks. So apologies if you are sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for the next episode. Yeah, we'll endeavour. We'll do our best, but as we've said, it's a busy time.
Exactly. So everybody, we just want to make sure that you know that we're so committed to this and we love doing the podcast. Unfortunately, time really did just get away from us, and we did have a few chats on the phone and we tried to schedule a few Zoom meetings, but it just couldn't happen for one reason or another. And that's the reason why we hadn't spoken for 10 years, I guess, in the first place, that life just kind of got in the way. I still remember Jared's words from the very first episode. He said, life just got in the way. So here we are. Yeah. We've pushed life to the side. We've got this tiny little window and we're going to use it.
That's right. That's right. I'm looking forward to it.
But it's nice to rekindle this once again, Jarad.
It is. That's what I was about to say. It is good to get going again. But I had a thought. I guess it's running on our last episode, if you remember way back then.
No, I do not.
We talked about kids having friendships and a lot of other things, but basically that was the crux of it. But it got me thinking that our kids having friendships now have actually opened the door to another community. Community probably wrong, but another group of people that I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to socialize with or connect with, and it's been awesome. It's been awesome. It's like this second wind of friendships that I didn't really expect in life. I know you probably thought about it in the back of your mind. Once they start playing sport or going to school or doing social activities, you will be connected to other families, but it's been really cool, like just to have that sort of extra push of the possibility of friendships. And I've been now experienced it now for a few years of just getting to know different people. It's been great.
That's really positive, Jarad, and you're very lucky because your girls do so many different extracurricular activities. So your social circle has really broadened, hasn't it?
Oh, massively. And next Saturday for me, and we're all going to somebody's 40th that we wouldn't have known. And now all of a sudden you're in that group, I guess. And it's pretty awesome. And because when you think about it, the kids, when the kids are the age of my girls, obviously they're not driving to or getting to games and trainings themselves. It's all parent run. So coaching a little team of under sevens, like it's all, you got to work with the parents. You're not working with the players. The players kind of turn up and run amok, but it's all about the parents organising and making sure everything's done, making sure they're there on time. So it kind of forces you into it, but it's not a bad sort of, I guess, thing that occurs out of it. So, yeah.
That's really nice, Jarad. That's really cool. And also, you've got a great house for this sort of stuff. It's very easy for you to socialize and have people over in your backyard or even inside your house. It's lovely.
Yeah. That was one of our big things. We like to have people over. So, yeah, it was one of those things of, that when we bought the house, it was a thing. But it's nice for you to say because it's a goal of ours to have this place like this. So yeah, cool. Thank you. So we've talked about sort of, in quickly about what sort of my family does. Have you got something where you've had a good experience with this, or have you been able to contact or connect with different people through your children?
Yeah, I've been really lucky. And when you suggested this topic, some certain people came to mind. I'll name them because they have listened to this show. So Cara and Mia, we've met them through the homeschool choir scene, and Cara actually established the whole community. And in my mind, she's a living legend. Awesome. I can't believe what she has built purely because of her love of community and music. And the most awesome thing is, during the holidays, so she's a music teacher, an awesome one. And during the holidays, she had some time off. So we're like, come over to our place and jam, because Erica's dad's been coming over to jam with me. Now, you know what I'm like as a musician. I'm not a musician. He's pretty good. He's all self-taught, but he can play by ear so well. He plays the cello. So to have her come was like, having Roger Federer come along to have a hit with us. That's what it felt like.
There's a bit of pressure there.
That's the thing, though, with her. She's so lovely that there's never any pressure in any way, any respect at all. So she came over with her daughter, Mia, who's just an awesome human as well. Mia brought over her violin. She's been teaching herself as well as getting proper lessons. And we just had a great jam. So where they're playing the blues, I'm good enough to give them whatever chords they want. So Erica's dad was like, okay, can you just play in D for us? So I'm just strumming along. Now, for those of you who are musically minded, you will know that there are some really cool songs in D. So I was actually playing Summer of '69, and they didn't realize, and they're just improvising along to that.
Oh, wow.
But it was just such a good time, and it was just an ad hoc friendship that was formed because of our children.
Yep. It's a lesson for me to keep your eyes open, to keep your more than your just to keep yourself open to the fact that you may actually stumble into a friendship, or you may actually stumble into something that blossoms, like I because it's only new to me now, like relatively new, I still think, wow, this is really amazing. But I look at the older people that I know, like the older, like my in-laws and people that have lived a lot more than me, a lot of their friendships come from, well, not a lot, but some of their friendships do come from this. So they've maintained the friendship through the children growing up.
Yeah. And
then, obviously then they don't need us to drive them around and go to their sporting, but that friendship has stayed. So it's a lesson, I guess, for me to say, keep yourself open. You never know when you'll meet someone that's you got a connection with. And I think that's great.
Totally. And you know what? I consider the younger people to be my friends as well. So Mia is the same age as my eldest son.
Yeah.
And I still see her as my friend. I don't think of her as Cara's daughter. I think of her as my friend because I get on with her really well. When I see her, we have a great chat. And
that's cool.
And it's really nice to have younger friends because it's very rare for an adult to meet a teenager and strike up a conversation. You go to a bus stop, everyone's got their headphones in looking at their phone. It's not like you talk to the school kids there and go, hey, how's school going? It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And in the homeschooling community, it's a little bit different because everyone's kind of a peer. You don't see them as you're the grown-ups, they're the adults, therefore you've got all the power. Yeah. It's just a melting pot of people and you just, I guess, learn from one another. And I've been jamming with a couple of twins, actually, who are way better than me. One's a guitarist, the other's a uke player. I won't mention their names because, they're not part of this show or anything. But, they're just lovely and they can sing. So I'm just having heaps of fun, just standing in a park, jamming with these kids. And, where does that happen in life?
It doesn't. And it's funny you mentioned that. It's probably a little bit different, but yesterday I stopped for a coffee and I parked in the car park because it was a bigger shopping centre. And I was just about to go. I got out of my car and walked and I hear this child yell, Jarad, across the car park. And I'm like, oh, okay. And this was early in the morning. And I turn around and it's one of my girl's friends with her mum and her sister. So these two kids with their mum. And I said, "Oh, how you going?" Just had a chat to her. And the mum was still sort of in the car getting something out, and and the girls are like there, and she said, "Oh, we're going to get coffee at this shop." And I said, "Oh, I'm going there too." She goes, "Oh, can we come?" Yeah, okay, it's all right. We go. So I walk these, I've just inherited these kids and their mum's like, "Yeah, I'll be there in a minute," so I walk them up to the shop and we have a chat while we're walking, and it was really cool. These kids are only, 7 and 10 or whatever. And it was nice for them to recognize me from across the car park and have the, I guess, confidence. I don't know, like I'm a parental figure, but it was just, yeah, can we come up with you? And I helped them get up the stairs, and it was it was just surreal sort of experience. I don't know why, but it was just a sort of, I was going there for a coffee, and all of a sudden I've just got these two kids with me, and then their mum turned up, 5 minutes later, and we had a chat. But yeah, it was really cool that they had that sort of connection. I guess they were able to do that.
Just to all our listeners out there, Jarad was telling me that story, and he looks so happy. It looks like it meant a lot to you that two kids. The thing is, to me, that's a real sign of respect. They don't look at you as their friend's dad. It was they saw you as a human being, which is a huge difference. And they called you Jarad. Yeah. When we were growing up, people's parents were generally Mr. and Mrs. whatever. It was very rare. It was almost a big deal to call someone by their name, an adult by their name. Of course, we went to public school. We addressed teachers as Mrs. or Miss or Mr., Sir, whatever. We didn't call them by their name. So it's really nice to have these kids addressing you as Jarad.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, and feeling safe around you and wanting to be in your company as if you're this quote-unquote cool person.
Yeah,
There's someone to come along and have a chat with.
Yeah, it was a nice feeling, and yeah, you're right. It did make me happy. Like that little 5 minutes of interaction I didn't expect, and it was all come from the fact that my youngest met their youngest at preschool. And that friendship has sort of blossomed into them coming over and the kids playing and having meals together and all sorts of stuff. So, going to the footy with the dad, me and him have gone to the footy a couple of times, and
cool.
Yeah, so because he's a Paris supporter, so we share that common misfortune or for whatever you want to call it.
I know. It's good to have someone to suffer with.
Yes. Suffer in groups is much easier. Yeah, not on your own. But yeah, it just really, like it's funny you said that story about that and just sort of brought that experience I had yesterday up. So yeah, kind of cool.
And you know what? It leads me to think about what our responsibilities are as adults, because these kids look to us for a lot of things. And this is an opportunity for us to be role models to people. Really young people, imagine if they found out about our scandals. They saw you pull up somewhere and have a road rage incident and beat the crap out of someone. That would really hurt a child.
Yeah.
Now,
Totally.
I've heard stories of much more severe things where, for example, actually it was a school teacher of ours told me her husband was very close to one of his religious leaders, and it turned out this religious leader did some unsavory things. I'll let the audience work out what that was, and it really broke the heart of this child. Not that it didn't happen to him, but just to know that someone you looked up to did something like that, it shatters your world.
Yeah,
and as adults, and as adults, we've got this responsibility of being a real anchor for people in this world. I mean, life is crazy.
Yeah,
it's so hard to make sense of anything that human beings do. But as parents, we've got to be rock solid. Our kids need to know that my mummy and daddy love me. They'll be there for me. They're going to tuck me in at night. They're going to provide a house for me. They're going to provide food for me, all this sort of stuff. And most importantly, love. All of that is non-negotiable. And it's always going to be there. You need to know that as a child. But on the periphery, as a child, and you've got other, for example, adult friends, like in your case, it would be nice to know that this Jarad guy that we like, he's actually a solid human.
Yeah.
And you think about what that would do for them growing up, knowing that there's a person like that out there in the world. even if it's not their dad, it's not their mum, but to know that there's someone out there that I could probably lean on if I needed to as they grow up. Yeah. And if they see more and more of you over time and you don't let them down over time, you never have these moments where you're doing something awful like that. It's like, Jarad is a solid dude. If I ever need anything, I can go to him.
Yeah.
The strength of those connections for a child certainly would add up to give them, a much better chance at having a healthy life and a balanced life, and especially with their mental health.
Yeah. It's, I think it shows, like we got a bit deep here, but it shows that they can trust somebody outside of their circle, because that in life you have to be able to trust, to move, and I think, some, like I said, somebody that is a little bit of an anchor or a space or an island or whatever you want to call it, something that you can sort of grab onto if you need it. And hopefully you don't, but if you need it, that there's people out there that can do it. And it's like I don't go out there thinking that.
No, of course not.
It's what the child sees you as, or the person sees you as, just by you doing your normal actions, I guess.
Exactly. And just be aware of those actions and keep making the right choices. But I guess my point was just to make us all aware that, wow, we've actually got so much power. Sure, our kids look up to athletes and fictional characters and superheroes and all that sort of stuff. But in everyday life, when they do meet someone kind, it does change their life. It really does.
It has more of an impact than a poster on the wall or a YouTube video of them scoring goals or, or singing a song. So it is nice to think. Yeah, even though they get more excited about the YouTube video and the poster on their wall, but that's because it's, I suppose it's like all of us, it's a lofty goal or a lofty thing to talk, to see them or meet them or talk to them. Whereas, we're a constant, in these kids' lives and well, that's sometimes as adults you take things for granted, and you do see that kids do, take that you're always there, but when they need you, they'll run to you. So it's, it's a bit of a, plays with my emotions. No. So, but yeah, it's part of life, I guess.
Yeah. I always want to make sure that kids know that there are many safe places in the world. We only hear the bad stuff, don't we? We hear about all the times that adults hurt children. But, I look at my brother's relationship with my kids is so lovely. It's just such a great friendship. I'll call it a friendship because they hang out as friends, and the stuff they do together is just so wholesome and nice, and walking dogs and all sorts of things, and they're just always having fun. And I think it's really sad that when you do think about an uncle with children, quite often, the wrong thing comes to mind. And that's such a tiny fraction of what people do get up to. But of course, it takes up the news. And you think about if you were flying on a plane and a child was seated next to you, you'd probably have to move, being if it were an unaccompanied minor. And that's just the world we live in. And it's really sad because I'm sure a child would have a great time on a flight next to you.
Well, but you don't hear you don't hear no one will watch the news, but uncle takes, takes nephew for a walk with the dog, and you don't hear the good stuff. And you're right, you hear the fraction, the tiny fraction of the the bad situations. And unfortunately, it's part of it, I guess. It's part of it. There's so many people doing really, really, really amazingly good things, and that's just, I suppose you just got to keep doing that, keep going on with your life and doing that. Don't worry about those little assumptions, I guess. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I'm a bit stuck with this, but yeah, you know what I mean.
I saw a headline yesterday, and again, this is just people giving their opinions, so don't let it rile you up. But the headline was, everything that's wrong with Australia, something along those lines.
Yeah, right.
And of course, that's a pretty big statement, and it's clickbaity, okay? People want you to get outraged so that you will click. And the end goal is for them to get advertising dollars. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Now, you could say, oh, but they also want to control your mind, or they want you to read this or that. Sure. But if that didn't generate a click, they'd find out what does. And if it was stories about fluffy unicorns that generate all the clicks, they would have every single news item on fluffy unicorns. I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
It's all about what gets the click. So, the people out there, the media, whoever else, they want to outrage us. They want us to get that emotional feeling so that we click and get engaged.
Yeah.
That's what drives the economy. It's outrage. Isn't that funny that the whole digital economy is based on us getting angry?
I know. And it works too. Like sometimes, like I think I said this way early days, like I've not so much now. I think there was more during the COVID sort of situation, but I was watching the news and getting outraged, outrage might be too strong, but I was getting like agitated about it. And I'm like, what? Why? And I actually had to sort of sit back and like, don't watch the news. Like, why are you getting so agitated about this? Because it's what they program us to like, it's what the program wants us to feel, like you said. They do it well. They really do. But yeah, I actually feel better stepping back from, like, if I want to get news, I can get news, at our fingertips. So I don't need to watch a show for an hour a night and get agitated between 6 and 7. Like, I just don't think it's healthy for me anyway. So that's just my journey.
Sorry, this conversation's taken a weird turn. I actually didn't mean to go here. I did have a purpose with going to this media bit. And it was that when I look at what's wrong with Australia, I don't think about what they were talking about or whatever nonsense it was. I think of solutions. I don't think of, there's anything wrong with our country. I think that we've all got opportunities to improve things. And looking at us now as adults and us two as men, you look at the opportunities that we've got in order to improve this country. And what you did with those girls, to me, is a perfect example of what we can do. We can just step up and be better human beings. Simple as that. Like not joining a political party, not doing anything major, not even planting trees or doing anything positive like that. I'm not even talking about reduce, reuse, recycle. I'm just talking about your behavior, your simple behavior where you're available for people. I mean, you could have easily just blown those kids off. Like, my kid's at home, leave me alone. Yeah. But just engaging with someone and opening up and sharing yourself, your true self with someone is a huge deal. Even getting a text message from someone that, you're like, oh, I didn't even know that person likes me. Oh, cool. Or, when you might hear about something, for example, if Para have a good win or something, there's a guy, a neighbor, he used to be a neighbor that I message. And I'll just occasionally say, hey, that was a great win by Para or whatever. And, I wouldn't even call him a friend. We don't see each other. So it's just more like I hear about him every now and then. Oh, yeah, they're up to this, that family. Yeah. But I think it might just brighten someone's day to get a text from someone randomly when something good happens.
Yep. It's a connection, like you said, it's not a friendship per se. It's just a connection. I mean, like we've talked about past, it's all about connection. Sometimes it's a limited sort of thing, and what makes us keep going. We just always have these little connections around, and I guess that's what this episode really started with. I don't know where it ended, but it started with being open to more connections through our children. Like it's food for the soul, if you want to put it that way. I think it keeps us going. It isn't nice to hear a text from somebody about just nothing sometimes, or
it's nice when Para wins too, Jarad.
Nice when Para wins, and I can, I still don't celebrate too much because I know that there's always next week. But it's just it's just nice to be, and like you said, it's nice to actually be a good human. I think if you just do things that like have an impact without even kind of having an impact on people, you just be a good person, and it all sort of fall into place there, I reckon.
Exactly. And to anyone listening to this, they might think, All he did was have a coffee with a couple of kids. Exactly. You didn't do anything. That's how low effort
I didn't
it can
even do
be. Exactly.
I just walked him up to the coffee shop. But yeah, you're right. I'm here like gloating like I'm, save the world.
But, those little actions all add up. Now, I've been working with people with disabilities for a while now, and mental health kind of blends into that. Well, actually, mental health is everywhere in life. And what I've had the realization recently was that we treat mental health in a strange way. When we think about mental health support, the government needs to provide more money for mental health, and you think, where would the money go? And I think a lot of people might think, well, support services like psychology and counseling, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit like looking at making people healthier by providing more hospitals. Hospitals don't make people healthy. Hospitals are there to take care of sick people.
Yeah.
So that's not really a health service, it's a sickness service. Now, if we look at good health, it starts with things like nutrition, sleep, sunlight, exercise, all that sort of stuff. And we look at mental health, it doesn't start in the office of a psychologist.
Yeah.
To me, mental health is all about positive connections. If we want to invest in the mental health of our community, of our country, the best thing we can do is strengthen our connections. And you're doing that. You're out there in the community all the time. You're part of a soccer club. You're meeting these kids that, you could easily just, tell them to go away, and you're being kind to them. You're giving them a moment. And that's sometimes all it takes. And just strengthening communities all around, strengthening connections everywhere around us, and giving us multiple nodes to connect to. So you've got your soccer club, you've got your school, you've got your whatever else, your band. In my case, it's, the homeschool community, the dad that I spar with, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That all adds up, and that builds a picture of great mental health, great connection. Yeah, so to everyone listening to this, one of the reasons Jarad and I wanted to do this show was connect with each other, but to connect with everybody. And sure, it's a bit of a two-way thing here. It's just the two of us talking, but we know you're listening. And forever, this show will be out there in the ether for people to connect to. And we hope that you can feel inspired to form your own connections and strengthen the ones you do have, and reach out to anybody, and just be open. Just live life with an open heart.
That is, that's pretty good, mate. You always do this to me. I can't follow this. I can't follow that. But no, that's you've said a lot of things in there that were just pretty amazing, and to be honest, very true, in my opinion. The fact that the show is going to be out here forever, though, scares me. I feel a lot of pressure now, just letting you know, to come up with something to respond to that. No, you covered everything beautifully, mate. I don't really have much to say other than rewind what Kiwi just said and listen again.
So again, everybody, sorry for taking so long to come up with this episode. Life is getting in the way, and we're trying to push it aside so we can create these little windows for ourselves. But we may be a little less regular in the next few weeks, but we'll do our best to keep bringing these out with the best regularity we can. Just know that we still love you. We're still there for you, and we're trying to strengthen connections everywhere we go. If you like this episode, please share it. Please give it a like on whatever you can, whatever you're listening to it on, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.
See ya.